Hey everybody, I'm that one guy, and I wanted to create a series of videos to go over the Weakauras I've created. The whole purpose of the Weakauras is obviously to help you better understand your spec and hopefully help you play better as a result, but also to gamify the game. Because WoW does present you with some spell alerts for the specs you play, but not all. And so that leaves you looking for ways to identify if a certain buff or debuff is active. And that's where Weakauras can come in play. And I wanted to do more than just have an icon with a timer in it, right? I wanted to try to present you with visual effects that make it feel more like a video game and immerse you more into the spec you're playing. At least that's the idea. So in these videos, I'm going to go over the Weakauras I've created, how I intend for them to work, and show you how you can modify them if you'd like. So whether you've already found my Weakauras, or you're looking for some for a certain spec, or you just want to have a better idea of how Weakauras work in general, hopefully these videos will help you with that. Brewmaster Monk, the last of the monks that I've done. I'm just going to lead off by saying there is a lot. There is a crap ton. And again, it gets trickier with tanks because of all the extra stuff you want to track other than just your offensive abilities. But don't blame me for all the stuff that you have to track or all the stuff that's on your screen. Tell Blizz about it, right? They could definitely do a better job about pruning how many things and how many abilities that some of these classes have to track. And I think Brewmaster is definitely a candidate for that. Maybe all monks in general, right? So let's just go ahead and take a look at the Weakauras. I'll go through every single one of the things, right? But for now, I'm just going to minimize all of this. I can speak, right? But this is what I mean by there can be a lot. Right, some of this is set up to essentially move its positioning depending on what you're tracking or what you have available, but I'll get into that. This would be absolutely everything. Not absolutely everything is going to be on your screen all at the same time. Once you do your opener, a lot of the stuff goes away, right? So just minimize it and go through. I'll come back to these at the end, and I'll just kind of start off in order with Weakauras Brew. So another thing that was feedback, and I'm always open to feedback and adding, removing, changing things. I will say though, if you want to remove stuff, it's so much easier for you to just right click and delete it, or go to the load tab and check never, than it is for me to go in, delete it, and re-upload it. So if that's your preference, absolutely do that. But someone suggested that I do add in at least just little buttons or icons, right? That's what this is, a little button for the cooldown of some of your major abilities. If they're over 1.5 minutes, and so that would be Weakauras Brew, Weapons of Order, and Invoke Nuzal. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, please forgive me. And they're all down here, right? You can see this would be Weakauras Brew and Weapons of Order, and then Invoke Nuzal. And again, if I pronounce it wrong, just let me have a pass. What they'll do is they'll be grayed out like that when they're on cooldown, right? And then when there is 10 seconds or less left on the cooldown and you're in combat, you'll see them pop up like that, and then just have that timer down to 0. So you're aware when they're coming up 10 seconds before they do. But again, just another little visual to kind of help keep your eyes up. And that's kind of the whole point of all of this, is to keep your eyes on this part of the screen. One, to see what the enemies you're attacking are doing, right? See their visual effects, see the swirlies around your character, see the big giant frontals that you have to step out of, and also just kind of be more aware of what your character is doing and being able to see the visual effects that you're doing. Because when I used to just have all the icons down here and looking at my action bars, I never noticed any of my own character animations. And we're playing a video game, so I'd imagine we'd like to see our character animations and see the video game. So all this is trying to help you bring your eyes up more and be here without having to look down as much. All right, so then moving on from those major cooldowns, Chi Burst. Master of Harmony seems to care if you had Chi Burst, so that'll pop up when it's off cooldown. Again, if you don't love it, you're like, I'm just going to look at it on my bars, right click and delete that. It's not going to break anything in the Weakauras, it'll all be fine. Purified Chi stacks up to 6 times, right? Every time you use your Purifying Brew, you get a stack of Purified Chi. So I have it set up like that. That's going to be right above where your Stagger and Shuffle are. And they will turn white when there's 4 seconds left on that buff. So if you notice them turn white, go ahead and refresh it, right? If you're aiming to keep stacking that up, or if you haven't consumed it already. Purifying Brew then these are your charges of Purifying Brew, which then kind of go into that. You notice I'm trying to do a lot of monk colors, a lot of chi looking things, so that's the goal. But these are your charges of Purifying Brew off to the left there. And then you have 2 things for Celestial Brew. you have the number of charges of Celestial Brew here, right? I could maybe change its color to that kind of brown thing, and maybe I will. I just figured Celestial White, why not? And then this that you're seeing off to the side is the shield that you get from it. So this is a progress tracker, meaning it'll pop up as soon as you activate the ability, but then it'll dissipate and essentially tick down to 0, letting you know it's gone. And there will also be, you can't see it right now, but there will be a number here letting you know the value of your shield and how much is left on that. So yeah, there's two parts to it. One showing you the cooldown or the charges available to you, whether it's 1 or 2 when you're in Master of Harmony. And then when it's active, you'll be able to see how much time is left on it, or have a visual cue of how much time is left on it, as well as the value of the shield itself. Your stagger bar, just there instead of there. I'm sure there's plenty of other options for stagger bars, but it's just counts on a percentage of it. And there you go. Pretty simple, I think. I'm going to skip real quick so I can do shuffle since it's right above it. And I'll come back to the other ones. Yeah, shuffle right there. I think that's something that maybe you don't necessarily need to track. You could then move stuff around if you wanted and change the sizes of some things if you free up space for moving that little bar. Otherwise, that's a progress tracker for shuffle, letting you know how much time is left on it. And then back up to these. Exploding keg. When it's off cooldown, you'll see that. And the reason it's there is because it's where Keg Smash is. The charges of Keg Smash, beer. I think Brewmaster's the whole thing is about beer and kegs. So your beer charges, your Keg Smash charges are right there. I could add something that is like a cooldown tracker for it, a little circular tracker that you'll see on some other ones, if you feel like that'd be helpful. But otherwise, it's like you got 1 charge, you got 2 charges, or you got no charges. Rising Sun Kick. This one has a cooldown tracker to it, to where when it's on cooldown, you'll see that, letting you know when it's about to be back. And that's what I mean by something I could add to Keg Smash. Otherwise, it just looks like that. And then same thing for Blackout Kick. Right? It's the exact same icon, just flipped and now pink because it looks like it's a pinkish purple thing on the icon. Same thing for it, is that when it's on cooldown, you'll see that, letting you know when it's about to be back up off cooldown. Press the advantage if you're talented into that. What this is going to do is at 9 stacks of press the advantage, you will see that icon right there, and you could change what that is. Like if you're like, I'd like to know at 8, or I don't care to know it's at 9, I only care to know it's at 10. It's this one, PTA, press the advantage, the front icon, and the trigger I have set is to at 9. That's when it'll first show, and then the back part of it will fill at 10 stacks. So how it's designed to go is you'll see this pop up right at 9, letting you know that your next auto attack is going to give you 10, and then you can activate the ability. Rushing Jadewind, if you're talented into it, that looks like the Dance of Chi-Ji for Windwalker, but when it's off cooldown, that'll pop up. Blackout combo. Whenever you activate Blackout combo, in case I messed up speaking there, this will pop up on your screen. And how it's set up to be is that it's actually going to be in this spot, right? So it'll be moved a little further out unless Rushing Jadewind is active, and that's when it gets tucked in. And same thing is true for Charred Passions. As this is another progress tracker letting you know how much time is left on Charred Passions. But when you're not talented into Rushing Jadewind, it moves out to the same location as here. So all of these are set to try to move out a little bit and give you space, and then shrink in as more abilities become available. Monk energy, just in general, your energy right there. And then if you're ever casting, that would be your cast bar. So that's it for all of the like base Brewmaster Monk abilities. And again, it's a lot. I agree. It's a crap ton of abilities. But you know, tell Blizz to, hey, start pruning some of these abilities from tanks. Like, it's cool. A lot of them are really cool in theme, and I really like the idea of it. But trying to find a way to combine some and have less button bloat, less buttons you have to keep track of and push as a Brewmaster in tanks in general, I think would be great. My 2 cents. Shado-Pan, if you're talented into Shado-Pan, it's going to give you a few different things. Your Wisdom of the Wall buffs. The colors are related to the different buffs you can receive, and I think as you just play more Shado-Pan, you're probably more familiar with it. But red would be crit damage, yellow would be crit chance, purple is the shadow damage, AoE, and then green is the one that buffs your mastery. So I think over time, again, if I need to put words on them so that you know what they are, but I think over time you would be more familiar with it as you're playing the spec a lot to know what those colors indicate and which buff you have active. And before you activate them, you have your flurry strikes and your flurry charges. So the flurry charges will count up to 10, right? And I think it gets a little bigger and green when it's at 10. And then your flurry strikes are right here. And what they are tracking, right, is obviously how much energy you spent. And I can modify this if another Brewmaster main has a different opinion on it. But basically what they're going to do is they're going to show up in increments of 60. So the first one means you've spent over 60 energy. When you see 2 of them, right, you've spent over 120 energy. You're halfway there. And when you spent 3 of them, you're over 180 energy. So you know that you're on your way to being able to activate this. The reason it's set up that way is because as a Windwalker monk, your Tiger Palm costs 60 energy, so it's 4 Tiger Palms. As a Brewmaster monk, your keg, right, your keg smash costs 40 energy, so it'd be 6. So I could change this up for Brewmaster if that is like a, you know, something that people want functionality for, and change it to basically add a 5 of these in a row that are tracking every 40 energy spent, so that you know when you see 5 of those that you are 1 keg smash away from activating your flurry strikes. Again, be interested to hear what a Brewmaster main thinks about that and their opinion. Otherwise, you'll know when you're above 180 and are 2 keg smashes or a keg smash and a Tiger Palm away, or spinning crane kick away from activating your flurry strikes. So that's it for Shado-Pan, and then Master of Harmony just gives you a vitality tracker, same thing that Mistweaver has, fills up and then drains as you activate it. And then the tier set. So what I've done with the tier set is I've started to just take anywhere I've made a tier set for a spec where if it like does seem to matter if you track it, I just use gold coins because that's the theme of the season is goblins and money, and so it'll make a ka-ching sound when it's active. But you will see these are just tracking your opportunity strikes. So I'm not tracking the luck of the draw buff and the extra 6 seconds it gives you of your what's that called? Fortifying brew. But I am just tracking the charges that you get for your blackout kick. If you, again, there's a lot that you maybe care about as a tank, and so maybe you really do want to know when you have that extra 6 seconds or that damage buff. But otherwise, you'll hear that ka-ching sound and you'll see those coins letting you know, 1, that you activated the buff, but also 2, how many charges of opportunity strike that you have available to you. That's it. I'm not going to be able to show that one because you have to take damage and there isn't a tank damage or tank dummy around that I can go get smacked by. And I'm not going to show the vitality tracker because that one just fills up and then goes. But I will show the rest of it kind of in combat. And yes, again, I understand it can look like a lot, but that's not on me. That's on Blitz. Tell them, give them the feedback. Go to the forums. But nothing shows until you're in combat. Right, and the only things that I care to track then are my defensives and like expel harm because I couldn't figure out a nice place to put that as a 5-second cooldown. So if you want to know where that is, it's right there. But I can put it on the screen somewhere too. Otherwise, nothing will show until you're in combat, and then that's when you see you've got 2 keg smashes, exploding keg, blackout kick, rising sun kick, and then your major cooldowns: purifying brew 2 charges, celestial brew 1 charge, no stagger because nothing's hitting me, right? And as you use your stuff, right, charges go away, charred passions. I use my blackout kick to get blackout combo, consume that. Rising sun kick going on cooldown, and I know how much time is left on that, right? I know charred passions is gone. I can reactivate that. If I use exploding keg, right, that goes away, right, and it won't pop back up until it's ready to be used. And I will say I'm not tracking fire breath or breath of fire, I should say, because every time you use keg smash, it resets it. Now, if you're ever not taking the talent where it doesn't reset your breath of fire, let me know, because then maybe you would like to know when it's off cooldown. But otherwise, not going to. And see, this is your cooldowns down here, your major ones that are long. As you use them, they will go away, right, and disappear. And then if I was sitting here long enough, you'd see when there's 10 seconds left, they'll pop back up. Now, and that was me activating my my flurry strikes and getting a wisdom of the wall buff and that good stuff. And as you can see, it's like as you spend energy, you gain these flurry charges, these flurry strikes, I should say, and then this tells me I'm over 180, and I know, yeah, that I'm pretty close to activating it. And because this is an old dummy, I'm like permanently at 10 because the auto attacks do enough damage to chunk that up to 10. It looks like, and exploding cat it could back up off cooldown, but that's it. Is like, and if you use your purifying brew, which mine doesn't want to right now, for some reason. Oh, because I'm not taking any damage, so I can't use it. And that's why. But as you use your Purifying Brew, you get your Purified Chi charges right there that then will turn white when they're about to expire, when there's 4 seconds on them. When you use your Celestial Brew, you get this. There is the shield value, as well as letting you know until it runs out time-wise or until it runs out number-wise, and then it's gone. Right? That would be it for everything. And again, I couldn't activate the tier set because I am not being attacked by anything right now. But otherwise, that's all the stuff. Is there's Black Ox Brew being back up off cooldown. I think just kind of helping reduce what you need to constantly then check for on your bars, or have another way to track your cooldowns for, you know, and your buffs and things like that. And instead, you can keep your eyes up here, you can stare at your target, you know your shorter cooldowns, what you have available, if you have Charge Passions available, when you've activated your Blackout combo, if you're talented into that, and then when your cooldowns are back up, right? Just right down there, and you'll, if you're paying attention and the more you play and the more familiar you get to it, you'll see that when there's 10 seconds left on those, and be ready for them and be able to anticipate them. But anything you don't like, you can right click and delete or go to the load tab and check the never box, and it'll never pop up for you again. But otherwise, if you have any feedback or anything you feel like I need to add or that would be helpful to track, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you like it and have fun. Again, I hope you found that helpful. I do intend to make a Weakura pack for every spec. So if I haven't made one for the spec that you play or that you'd like to see, just comment that down below. Again, I do intend to make one for every spec, but if I see people asking for it or really wanting one, I'll probably get to it quicker than if I just do it on my slow, leisurely pace. I hope it will enhance your gameplay. Like I said, it's all about gamifying the game and making it more fun and more immersive for you, while also helping you improve as a player, because the information that you need to react to is hopefully more readily available. If you have any other questions about this Weakura pack that you just watched or any other ones, again, please feel free to comment. I try to be as interactive as possible in my YouTube section. And that's it. I hope you have a great day.